Yes, Male Toad, I was wish if I wanted able to max out my lives back, even then though, without further ado, I need to get my 20 extra lives again, so just in case I can able to get myself a little bit of an easier time overall with Luigi's controls and stuff like that, so yeah, you probably get the idea for that. So, hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Luigi Galaxy, in this case in a Super Mario Galaxy game, for the Nintendo Wii / Nintendo Wii U eShop downloadable version. So, well, in terms of the actual eShop download software, as far as I meant to say, but I digress. So, last time we actually did manage to beat the likes out of Bowser for the second time as Luigi, and also we managed to gather more of those power stars in the process here and now too. And of course today for this video is the fact that we're about to continue on and hopefully grab some more power stars in the forms within the engine room dome, and yeah, looks like we actually on the we're still in the halfway point of Super Luigi Galaxy so far, so to be expected then, well, hopefully I'm also able to actually just to get this thing going, and especially noticeable, whenever we saw these exact same missions from ever since the Mario's version of this particular playthrough, then, well, it's gonna speed things up slightly. So, Star Bunny's on a hunt. So, in this case, the first mission in Gold Leaf Galaxy. So, but I digress. So today was actually, today's day actually, is the 24th of May in 2019. So in this case, that recently, Aladdin film remake has managed to came out recently today for, not only for our country, but it's also in, not only in our country, as I said before, but it's also on America as well, and especially noticeable with, most other regions as well, or something like that. So even then, I do apologize with the forms of the lack of dialogue or anything like that. So just to ensure how the fact that I just want to classify for such. So yeah, so quite a few things is worth mentioning actually. Is that although I need to actually explain more details about Aladdin remake for a second. Is that, well, as far as I'm aware, for the actual reviews of that film so far, especially noticeable on Rotten Tomatoes website, it seems to have like some sort of like a mixed reception on critics alike, but as for fans, they surprisingly do manage to enjoy it, especially noticeable, well, for so far anyway. Like, for instance, fans do really enjoy it because obviously you know how Will Smith managed to did an excellent job about the actual comedy, especially if you remember him from, you know, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air TV series, which I also adore, and yeah, really looking forward to able to actually seeing that. Although I'm probably not gonna see it on day one yet though, because I need to able to get ourselves a little bit of more time thinking about it, and it's kind of weird to able to actually have like 2 live-action movies is about to be releasing on the exact same year. It may not be happening during the likes of in 2020 though, or perhaps maybe in the future, but even then though, aside from that though, there's not much else to really say about it. So, and as far as critics, as far as the actual like reviews and stuff like that, they've obviously got about pretty much 59% so far, which is decent, but not exactly great though, because although I'm not exactly sure if the actual score will able to actually increase later down the road, but we'll see what happens there for the time being. So even then though, because of that though, I might actually looking forward to see how that film will actually plays out to be. So, and of course that there is also The Secret Life of Pets 2, which I just don't think that film wasn't exactly interesting to me, apart from the fact that, well, surprisingly enough, that particular review during the likes of film, also on the exact same website, on RottenTomatoes.com, I managed able to discover they actually got themselves, I cannot even believe they got 90% between the 90% for that specific review score so far, which, to me, it just feels like, kind of sort of like the same thing as Toy Story usually handles, because in the Toy Story series, that normally they are, you know, the masterpiece in my opinion, because even then they did such a remarkable job about the fact that to see how this films will turn out to be. But as for Secret Life of Pets though, at least they only released about 2 films and stuff like that so far. They're just not my kind of thing, because even then, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, they made by a different company, which, by the way, that is the exact same company as what it does from, you know, the actual, The Grinch, and especially noticeable with, what's another one they did made? Oh yeah, the Despicable Me trilogy, and especially noticeable with, Hop, which, to me, Hop is a pretty, a large mess of a film to me, though, because, well, trying to make, you know, CG computer-generated character into a live-action movie, and I was like, that is very out of place. Even especially noticeable that this is the reason why that Sonic the Hedgehog movie 2019 blows. Like, blows so badly, even before that the first trailer has been up. So, just want to classify for that at this point, so even then I just want to get this out of my head. So, anyways, another thing I want to explain about this, actually, is the fact that, well, there's not much else I can really say when it comes to gaming stuff in mind, apart from the fact that, well, in the future time, especially noticeable back in during the likes of, and do you remember in last year also, that we did manage to get ourselves our new Nintendo 3DS XL with us still, and, as a matter of fact, that, we did manage to have ourselves our normal-sized DSi for quite a long time, even for about 10 decade year, or in this case, a decade years ago at this point. And for what I've played the DSi specifically on my normal size for the time, and I did have some fun with it back in the day. But looking at it back, especially noticeable in comparison to the DSi XL size, and especially noticeable with the 3DS XL size, which I'm still practically going to be using at the time, especially noticeable for doing certain 3DS game Let's Plays for the time. Holy crap, it's so hard to able to get back into the normal size DSi. Well, I still have some fun with it, don't get me wrong, but it's just the fact that, well, there's one little key factor about this, though, is the fact that recently I managed to able to order the Nintendo DSi XL, which is considerably the dark brown version, because, well, in the end of the day, especially noticeable with the smaller size DSi and stuff, I just feel like I shall practically going to be moving on to the XL size at this point, despite the fact that the DSi XL has been out, at least in Japan. They did manage to release that for about a decade ago at this point right about now. Even compared to the forms of our Western versions of that specific DSi XL hardware, it seems to be more accurate though that until 2020, this thing will be almost 10 years old until next year, so even then, as for the normal size DSi, it's practically now 10 years old at this point, so even then, although kind of thing about it, that the first time I've ever actually brought the DSi, specifically the normal size version of the DSi, it was actually back in September 2009, which I'm not exactly sure I managed to got it like new or used or anything else like that, but even then I haven't really looked up on my memories back in the day, because obviously I was a little bit of a, I don't know if it's droppy like 11-year-old kid, even because of how the fact that I was so desperate to see that some of these DSi software is concerned, especially noticeable I really love to try out some other stuff, like for instance that the first ever DSiWare game I've ever got, and that is of course Mario vs Donkey Kong Minis March Again. In this case, for some reason I always attempt to call that game Mario vs Donkey Kong 3, but ultimately though to me, it might seem not look like it to me, because I usually just manage to call it nowadays is Mario vs Donkey Kong 2.5, because of that though, it borrows the exact same elements as the Mario vs Donkey Kong 2 March of the Minis, which I managed to get the physical copy for it, which I still managed to keep that for a long period of time, especially noticeable that, you know, the only major differences I've realized about something, especially most people already know about this, is the fact that in Minis March Again, does have shorter amount of content than the likes of how it does it on March of the Minis, because in March of the Minis, they do have like 7 worlds, or in this case 8 worlds to be exact, which I think is actually pretty enough as it is, but for whatever reason, in, you know, Minis March Again, they just seems to tone it down for a bit slightly, because even then, especially noticeable how the fact that the story itself is remarkably too damn similar to the forms of the second game, because, well, although I get it, this is the third entry, but to me, it doesn't seem that much of it, add anything new around here, apart from the fact that, well, obviously, about the fact that with, you know, you can't able to actually stop those mini Marios anymore, because obviously, they just move all by themselves, and you can't able to actually change the directions, unlike in the ones in how it does it on, you know, March of the Minis for the Nintendo DS. So, generally speaking, you get the gist of it. So, and, as a matter of fact, speaking of the DSiWare softwares as far as I'm concerned, usually another game I did manage to got back in the day was, Mario Calculator, which every now and then, it does seems to be pretty cool, back in the day. Especially I don't have my mobile phone back in the day, but every now and then, especially noticeable in 2019 and onwards, I think it seems to be kind of useless now because, well, I don't normally take DSi in doing other places, all that stuff, but normally the only time I usually use my DSi is the fact that I can able to actually use to play DS physical games as far as I'm concerned. Especially noticeable with how the fact that, well, if we must be able to do with the next Kingdom Hearts game at some point in the future, most notably 350 over 2 days, especially noticeable with Kingdom Hearts Recoded and stuff like that. Hopefully though, with the DSi XL size, will be extremely, brings the actual footage come to life, even by the forms of the actual brighter colors, richer sound quality, and most of the time, I should able to have some fun with. So, the only time exception though is the new 3DS XL, because most of these 3DS hardware, as far as I'm aware, is that they usually manage to chop down the actual frames of that particular stuff for that nature. So you probably get the idea for that. So, anyways though, and I guess there's not much else to really talk about this at this point, folks, apart from the fact that, well, oh god, Jesus Christ, that almost trying to get me. Anyways though, so another thing I want to explain about this potentially is that another game I did manage to got back in the day for the actual original DSi hardware, and that is Flipnote Studio, which it's cool back in the day, but I never normally used that up much because, well, I'm usually pretty good with some filming departments, but most of the time, especially with drawing sketches with some few frames of animation, holy crap, it can take me a long time to be able to make those. Especially noticeable how the fact that I made some really crappy ones back in the day. Again, that was pretty much new to me back then, but even then, that's as far as I can say about it. So, and of course another DSiWare game I did got from back in the day, and that is WarioWare Snaps, which I was pretty hyped about that game when it first announced. Especially noticeable, this is actually the first ever DSiWare title. They actually have some Nintendo DSi capabilities, like the actual camera system and stuff. But for what I've played it, especially recently up until now, I seem to think that this is easily, in my honest opinion, one of the worst WarioWare games they've ever made. Well, to me though anyway, because for one, the camera itself doesn't seem to go not nearly as a good quality as the forms of how it does it on most digital cameras, especially noticeable that, you know, between the iPhones, especially noticeable for high quality cameras and stuff like that, these qualities are superior. But on the DSi department, it doesn't seem to go that register with me as much, especially because that I swear I did manage to try to able to actually win some of these micro games and stuff like that. And by the way, with the micro games in mind, there was only 20 of them, which to me is not that much, especially because of how the fact that I get it. This is the forms of a somewhat of a smaller title for the DSiWare software, as far as I'm aware. But it's just that it just seems kind of rushed to me. So, but even then, that's as far as I can usually say about this for that particular game. It's not that good. Even one of the weaker WarioWare games, in my opinion. At least I can able to go back to WarioWare Twisted any day, especially noticeable with WarioWare Touched, and even WarioWare Incorporated, Minigame Mania, and heck, even especially with the most recent WarioWare game, which is WarioWare Gold, I can usually take that any day, because it does have a crap ton of micro games, like 300 of them. That is very impressive, especially with how the fact that, well, trying to able to, you know, add some not only new micro games, but it's also bringing back some of the old micro games from the past, which to me is actually really awesome back then. Well, especially in 2018 as far as I'm aware, but not so much in WarioWare Snaps because it's really bad. To me though anyway. But either way though, and another game I did got back in the day, and that was try out a little bit on Dr. Mario, which every now and then there's also the WiiWare installment, or in this case the, well, I've still managed to get myself the WiiWare version of Dr. Mario, which is known as Dr. Mario and Gem Buster, and especially noticeable with how the fact that I've now managed to finally got the Dr. Mario game on the NES from the Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Minis. So even though that's the only Dr. Mario game I've now finally got for that point. And every now and then, especially noticeable that back in 2013, especially noticeable, or actually in 2014 actually, about the fact that, you know, with how the fact that with the year of Luigi might be still a thing back in 2013 to 14, that we actually got ourselves Dr. Luigi right now. And heck, even on the 3DS software downloadable stuff now, we've now finally got a Dr. Mario game on the 3DS. So, it might be seems redundant on the actual DSiWare rendition at this point now, because as far as I've noticed is that when I play the DSiWare version of, you know, the Dr. Mario game, it just feels kind of like exactly like the WiiWare counterparts, but in the title screen music, sounds altered slightly. So, even then, aside from that though, well, not much else to really say about that. So, at least I'm able to actually play some other Dr. Mario's, thank you. So, and another game I did manage to use to go back on the DSi, and that was, I'm pretty sure it's Pop Solo, but I never normally play that much of it now, because I found that game to be, well, it was cool back then, as I said before, but, it's just that, well, I just got pretty bored of it, though. All you have to do is, like, add some more points, and then just keep on popping those bubbles, and that's all there is to know. And as well as the Mario clock, which it's alright. At least I managed to able to actually now use the alarm clocks now onto the actual mobile phone and stuff like that. But at least for the DSiWare, especially noticeable if you don't have the mobile phones and stuff like that, at least it's kind of handy. But the only cool thing about the forms of Mario clock though is the fact that once you collect about 100 coins for about, I think you might as well able to get yourselves like 1,200 coins in total, then you were able to get yourselves a little bit of a celebration going on with rescuing Princess Peach and stuff like that. So, especially you can able to control yourself with it. So, now, who do we have here? Some friends of those penguins. Let's get something clear here, Landwalker. The sea is mine here. So, yeah, basically we need to walk through those 8 rings once again. But again, we need to be very careful of the air meter for Luigi's case, because obviously that if you somehow manage to able to drown yourself in underwater, then you have to go for all that stuff again. So, just keep that in mind. So, but I digress. So, yeah, I did have some fun times back in the day for the DSiWare software as far as I'm aware, but every now and then, especially noticeable in 2019, although every now and then there's going to be a lot of versions out there, especially compared to the DSiWare versions of these games themselves. Like, for instance, I haven't got Shantae Risky's Revenge, but thankfully though, there's a definitive Director's Cut version every now and then. It's being released now on the PlayStation 4, which I still managed to have it, and even though it was kind of cool back in the day, as I said this before, even though I said that word several times in this video potentially, because, well, overall I did have some fun times on my DSi, the original, but to me though, I think the, well, I wasn't really interested back in 2010 when I couldn't able to actually get the DSi XL, because, well, it wasn't until right about now, as I said before, I've now managed to order myself the DSi XL right now, because let me tell you, the XL size, especially noticeable with, what the hell? Okay, that's a bit odd, but anyways, let's go grab the last ring, and sure enough, we're able to actually get out of the actual underwater itself, so yeah, as I said before, that because of how the fact that I'm still used to with the 3DS, is in this case, the new 3DS XL's comfortable factor with that particular handheld. Holy crap, it is so comfortable. Especially noticeable with how the fact that whenever I play some small handheld stuff and stuff like that, oh my god, my hand starts to get cramps or what have you. Especially noticeable, I did have a slightly have a difficult time playing the handheld mode on the Nintendo Switch sometimes, but it's not that too noticeable, I don't think. So, and sure enough, we got ourselves the Cosmic Comet race going on the Gold Leaf Galaxy. And sure enough, that once we're done with this mission, I'm pretty sure we're now able to come across into the final Cosmic Comet mission to deal with, and that will have to be on Sea Slide Galaxy, of course. So this should be a lot more fun than it used to be. So even then, let's hop things to it. Although, that whenever I manage to get myself my DSi XL, this means I can no longer get the DSiWare stuff on the actual DSi shop, because you know how the fact that that's been closed ever since almost about 3 years ago at this point, so it might seems illogical for some. So even then, no, let's go and get this thing started. And goody, we got ourselves a nice little boost to start. Yeah, if you manage to able to, like, specifically if you have yourselves an easier time on these races like this, well, as long as you're able to actually access to this starting boost system, especially noticeable you have to carefully time your jumps or what have you, then you should be able to deal with this just fine. Especially noticeable with how the fact that you can able to actually do this no sweat whatsoever. So, but even then though, in this case, let's do some continuous amount of long jumps, and sure enough, we got ourselves the Power Star indeed. So, there we go. And of course, that this wasn't going to be the final time we're going to be seeing a Cosmic Luigi, of course. Even for the actual cosmic body color like this, until Mario Galaxy 2, that it might be a little bit more different for you guys, and I'm sure many people already know about this at this point in time. But in any case, so let's go ahead and just go back up and just go on to the next mission in Sea Slide Galaxy, and that is, of course, Faster Than a Speeding Penguin mission. So, but yeah, you probably get the idea for that. So even then, though, that's, yeah, overall, especially noticeable for today's day, and especially noticeable with the actual, my lifetime with my original DSi, I had a pretty enjoyable time on this back in 2009, especially at the very end of that year. I cannot even believe it's been about a decade ago at this point right about now. Well, almost a decade ago at this point, well, until September anyway. So even then though, I'm very glad to be able to actually order myself the XL version, because that way it makes the actual comfort factor a little bit more comfortable to me, because even then, the only thing is though, is the fact that my hands itself is way too big to able to play the DSi, the normal size variation I should say, because of that though. Although especially I really do I really do enjoy the DSi shop music, because it's almost like the upgraded, or in this case, a little bit more upbeat compared to the forms of, well, it doesn't even match up to the forms of like the good old classic nostalgia Wii Shop channel music, but apart from that though, I did have a very enjoyable time with the DSi itself. Well, I can usually, although the actual DSi XL features might be still practically the same, but the only obvious difference is the actual XL screens and stuff like that, so that makes it a little bit of an obvious difference from here. So yeah, you probably get the idea for that solution here, so that I guess. So yeah, there's not much else I can say, because even though that's the only things I must confess to able to explain about this, because, well, apart from the fact that we only got about a few more days to go until, you know, this year's E3 is about to be on, it's slowly approaching, and, still looking forward to that kinds of stuff. So even though, as I said this before, I don't think they're most likely focusing on the hardware upgraded versions of the Nintendo Switch anytime soon, because even then, there just gets a little bit more time left before they start able to make the other versions of the Nintendo Switch, especially noticeable whenever it gets to the point until at some point in 2020, which I don't mind about it, because even then though, I think I should probably save some cash, especially noticeable I need to probably go after, you know, Luigi's Mansion 3, and especially noticeable with Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. And up to this point, whenever until next year, we can definitely expect to be able to do with our Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. Ultimately, though, we could able to do with, like, some redo Let's Plays of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series. Well, we've already done the Beijing 2008 installment, and especially noticeable, we already done the Rio 2016 around the exact same time as the Rio 2016 Olympics. But not so much by the forms of redoing Let's Plays of both Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games, and especially notable with Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games, and heck, even the original Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games. So let me know in the comments below to actually just decide to do if a redo Let's Plays of the final 3 or the last 3, well, how do I put it? That some of these other Mario and Sonic in the Olympic game series redo Let's Plays, because we already done, well, for the better quality and stuff like that, just for the sake of time. So, you know, you get the idea. Alright, so here we go, folks. This is the final time we're going to be doing a Cosmic Race missions, because after this, we are done for good. Because even then, especially noticeable, though, we don't have to worry about, like, hurriness or patience or anything like that, so... But to me, though, I think one of the hardest ones of the bunch, especially noticeable on the Luigi's Cosmic Races, and that was easily, well, that's not so much from this point here, especially noticeable if you instantly manage to get yourselves your boost start, then you were able to actually just manage to conquer everything on the entire race. So, but apart from that, though, especially noticeable that I think, to me, that still is one of the hardest ones of the bunch, especially on the Cosmic Races, and that will have to be is, the Frosty one, because, well, if you mess up at least once or twice or something like that, especially noticeable when you're trying to do it the ice skating section, then you weren't able to do it then, well, I forget what I just said. But anyway, we got ourselves about 75 power stars, and I believe we got ourselves about 45 power stars to go until whenever we manage to completely done with obtaining those power stars for the entirety of Super Mario Galaxy game, especially noticeable with how the fact that, well, we already done about the those Trials of Galaxies ever since the last video. So even then, once we're done with all the rest of the main missions and stuff like that, especially noticeable with you know, the main stages itself, well, we don't have to worry about like saving the Trials of Galaxies for later before Bowser's Galaxy Reactor. So yeah, you get the idea for that. So here we go, on to the silver stars on the actual sea slide. So even then though, that much like always, I'm gonna have to go after the actual the secret power star mission on this level. So even then, but first off, let me just go ahead and grab the 40 star bits as far as I'm most likely gonna go after for. Although there's also one thing I forgot to mention about the DSiWare software games I haven't exactly downloaded back in the day, and that was the forms of, well, I've already mentioned about Shantae Risky's Revenge, which thankfully I managed to got this on my PlayStation 4 right about now, so at least I managed to got that. And especially noticeable with the DSiWare version of the original Rayman, which first of all, I was a little bit skeptical at first, but I've managed to able to get the definitive version of Rayman, and that was on the original PlayStation. Because the problem with the DSiWare version of the original Rayman game is the fact that, well, obviously the controls might be exactly a little bit more better than that terrible iOS version, although I can definitely see why that the iOS version of Rayman, the original game, was no longer existent, because of some people seem to have a little bit of a tough struggle with you know, with the touchscreen controls and stuff like that. But at least in the DSiWare version, at least it controls just fine. But what's the only problem with the DSiWare version compared to the superior PlayStation version? And heck, I've noticed that the Atari Jaguar was actually a more of a perfect version of the game, surprisingly, because, well, despite the fact that the actual commercial failure for Atari Jaguar and stuff like that for that nature, even with Jaguar CD attachment, which is also a completely commercial failure, just like the N64 disk drive, especially with how the fact that, well, they're trying to compete in with a competition and stuff. But that digress. So, what's the problem I have with the DSiWare version of the original Rayman game? Well, for one noticeable thing, what the hell was happening to his hit point voice? It's just like, well, what if I played the other PlayStation version? His seems is perfectly fine. It goes like, duh. And then on the DSiWare version, holy crap, it's terrible. It's like, oh, like a deep sound effect for that particular sound. And also, every time when you get to the checkpoint marker, especially noticeable with the actual the cardboard cutout photography stuff, Holy crap, it just gets really irritating whenever the DSI camera sound effects has always been up. And most of the time though, it just always happens every time you reach the checkpoint. So yeah, that can get pretty obnoxious every once in a while. So because of that though, I still really find that very unexcusable, admittedly, for that. So, but I digress. So before you're able to actually just leave it up for this point, I'm actually going to be going back out the Comet Observatory, and I would able to save the silver stars until for the next video, because I figured, although first of all, let me just go ahead and activate that that shortcut right there to you know, the Comet Observatory from there. So I thought it was worth doing that, and hopefully though we can able to actually just go ahead and just deal with the Hungry Luma stage. Now, I'm pretty sure in the Mario's playthrough that I managed to able to did this you know, that particular Sand Swell Galaxy for no problem or anything like that. Like you know, I managed to choose the easiest path, which is of course the Boo path. But now I think it's about time to able to do something slightly different to the table this time, because I figured that we might actually do the harder path, which is of course, if you guys already know what I'm talking about, and that will have to be the bee suit path. So even then though, that's because, well, I feel like up to this challenge, and I figure I might as well gonna do that. So because of that though, unlike in the Mario's playthrough of this, then I normally attempt to go for the Boo mushroom, because I found it to be quite easy to deal with. But this time around though, I'm up for a challenge to do a bee mushroom section now. But yeah, you get the drill from here. So even then, let's get this thing to it. Especially noticeable how the fact that we're almost there to 80 stars already, which to me, it always seems as kind of goes like time's gone really fast than attempt to. But I digress. So let's go ahead and grab the bee suit here. But again, the best strategy for this is the fact that I highly suggest you're able to tap the A button slightly, because if you hold the A button down, then it will drain the fly meter super fast. So it's well classified for that. So anyways, let's go ahead. You son of a... Ah, that chemic, man. Ah, there's nothing I can do. Apart from the fact that, well, the ultimate challenge I feel like with this is the fact that I really can't afford to able to use the Boo mushroom, because even then that might be seems a little bit too easy for my liking. So even then, I will try this again. So even then, though, screw you, Kamek, and screw you again for giving me a knockback. And also, he managed to guard away from here. So let's try this again, shall we? Hopefully from a little bit of a better attempt or anything like that. So anyways though, oh god, did not meant to do that. Oh, Jesus Christ, Kamek, what is going on with you? Especially noticeable how the fact that you're always trying to able to outright against with me. Actually, is there any way you can able to get rid of the Boo Luigi? Oh, electricity can do a thing. But honestly, we'll take the actual death right there, so that's a bit stupid. Oh, I have no idea why I'm playing like that every now and then, especially noticeable that I seem to have an easier time on the Mario's playthrough, but for whatever reason on Luigi's playthrough, that it's nothing too much buggling or anything like that. It's just that, you know, I'm up for the challenge and able to actually do a very different path instead of the same exact path. So, yeah, it might be so be weird. So anyways, let's go ahead and carefully fly towards at that pavement right there. And thankfully though, we don't have to worry about that chemic thing again. So even then, and also we need to be very careful of course, Boos, and let's not forget about the water, because, you know, just like the Boo mushroom, well, obviously they will try to harm you. And oh! Ah, I was so close! I just got ambushed! I can't believe I got ambushed by those bats at the end. Oh god. They really did manage to able to go ahead and, you know, just trying to ambush me. That's all there is to know. But anyways, so let's try this. I think this is the 4th time doing this because, well, holy crap. I just seem to have a hard time on this Boo suit, or the bee suit, sorry. Because, unlike the Boo mushroom that I seem to have an easier time with, but for whatever reason, that in a bee suit is actually a lot trickier and difficult than it looks. But I digress. Let's try this again, and oh god, almost gonna slip up. Whew. It's pretty close. Anyways, let's see if we can bypass this part. Ah, take that. That's what you deserve. Alright, so here we come to this last part right there. So let's go ahead and fly from... Oh, wait. I realized I don't have the bee suit on. Oh, I'm such a fool. Ah, let's try it again. Oh, jeez. Looks like I'm gonna have ourselves a really rough time for this point. So even then, I might as well... What the hell is going on? Oh my god, I keep dying every single time. Oh my god. Alright, so I'm assuming this is attempt number 6. Jesus Christ. For this particular stage. Oh, Jesus. Anyways, let's get this stage over with, because I can't tell you how many times I had some trial and error situations, especially noticeable at the beginning portion of the level, so... Yeah, it seems all over the place, I'm telling you. But I digress, so we're done with this stage, and unfortunately, soon to say, we got the endings off at this point here with a 77! In this case, 77, in this case, lucky 7s, right there. So it's a cool way to end this. So, anyways, let's go endings off here, so join me next time on Let's Play Super Luigi Galaxy on the Super Mario Galaxy game. Is that we're about to continue on and grab some more power stars on the engine dome and vice versa. So see you guys then. Later, fellas.